So is sugar actually that bad for you? Is what they say true? That sugar results in poor overall health? And that sugar is this dangerous thing that we should be avoiding at all costs? Today's video, we're going to go over that. We're going to go over what the research actually shows about the dangers of sugar and whether or not it's bad for you, how much is bad for you, should you avoid it, can you include it. We're just going to go over the facts about sugar, okay? Before I do that, hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification icon so you can be notified when I give you more factual fitness information, okay? So, as you know about the fitness industry, they love to use controversy and sometimes, propaganda or even scare tactics. And I'm seeing a lot about sugar floating around the fitness industry. And some of these charlatans, like one, for instance, is Dr. Lufkin. I think his name is Robert Lufkin. And he's been making this ridiculous case, I think it's ridiculous, against sugar and dietary sugar. And most of the reason is he wrote a book pretty much bashing everything about dietary sugar and scaring the hell out of people, and relatively, and sort of convincing them that they should avoid it. And of course, if you have any common sense, you realize that it's a marketing gimmick. And he's trying to paint sugar as this evil substance that everyone should avoid or you're going to die. And he just so happens to have the perfect guide that you can buy on Amazon for $29.95 that explains how bad sugar is, all the horrible things it can do to you, and how to avoid it so you don't die. Just so happens. You'll see these tactics used by a lot of fitness people. You'll notice it in the news. Fear gets your attention. The news knows this. Most of the major media outlets know this. And the fitness industry is starting to use this when it comes to diet. So is sugar bad for you? Like with everything in the fitness industry, the answer is it depends. Of course it depends. Everything depends. Okay, is sugar itself bad for you? No. Is too much of it bad for you? Yeah. Too much water is bad for you. You'll fucking drown. I have to bleep that one out because I have a good YouTube rating so far. Too much of anything is bad for you. So obviously, too much sugar is bad for you. But should sugar be avoided at all costs? The answer is simply no. What is sugar? Well, when we're talking about sugar, we're usually referring to table sugar, sucrose. Now, what is sucrose? Sucrose is a combination of two monosaccharides, creating a disaccharide called sucrose. The monosaccharides are fructose and glucose. Together we have sucrose. Okay? It's just two monosaccharides. What is dangerous about fructose? Nothing. What's dangerous about glucose? Absolutely nothing, because believe it or not, your brain primarily runs on glucose. Your muscles primarily use glucose for energy. Glucose is flowing in your bloodstream to your organs and keeping you alive. So glucose is very good for you. Neither one of these monosaccharides are bad for you, okay? In excess, however, when you have too much glucose, when you have too much sugar, it begins to stack up in the bloodstream. But you have to have a huge surplus of this. And stacking up a lot of this glucose, a lot of the sugar in the bloodstream, will cause insulin resistance down the road and may lead to other metabolic issues. The stacking up of too much glucose, too much substrate, too many calories results in obesity. Obesity, too much fat tissue, adipocytes, or fat cells being inflammatory in high amounts, these adipocytes release something called adipokines, more specifically something called interleukin 6, which is an inflammatory cytokine. In small amounts, these cytokines are necessary for health. In high amounts, they produce overall systemic inflammation and can result in poor health over time. But it's not the sugar alone that results in this inflammation. A lot of people, I was talking to my father the other day. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room because I'm, visiting family. And he was explaining to me, which kind of inspired this video, he was explaining to me how he's avoiding sugar. And I said, well, why are you avoiding sugar? What results in inflammation? I'm like, who the hell told you that? No, it doesn't. Too much of it results in inflammation. And what's resulting is in the inflammation is a stacking up of the glucose in the bloodstream, the growth of fat tissue. The more fat tissue you have, the more adipokines are released, the more interleukin 6, the more inflammation, okay? But it's not the sugar alone. And if you look at these studies, they'll often, I was looking through some of them, and one of them showed one group that increased their sugar intake had higher instances of inflammatory markers. The other one didn't. But they didn't control for calories. So obviously, if you take two groups and you add a bunch of sugar to one group, they're going to have an increase in calories. An increase in calories to a calorie surplus is going to result in an increase in fat tissue. The increase in fat tissue is going to increase inflammatory markers, okay? And then there was another study I saw where they had two groups and they increased the sugar in one and not in the next, and there was no increase in inflammatory markers. So what the hell are people talking about? This is the truth. The truth is, if you become over fat, if you become obese, there's going to be an increase in systemic inflammation, and that is going to result in a whole mess of problems down the road and a reduction in your overall health. But the sugar alone is not the cause. The cause is the excessive calorie intake and the obesity. Okay? There's nothing about sucrose, fructose, and glucose, making sucrose, a disaccharide, that is inherently unhealthy for you. So when you eat too much, that is what is unhealthy for you. Because the human organism, we'll call it, evolved in an environment of food scarcity. Go in the woods, and this is my favorite example. Watch the show Alone. One of my favorite shows. It's epic. They take 10 survival experts. These aren't normal people, by the way. These are like survival experts. They drop them in the woods, and they say whoever survives the longest wins $500,000 or $1 million. And they're allowed to bring 10 items from a selected list of their choice. What are they doing all day? Resting, taking shelter from the elements, and foraging and hunting. They're trying to find food, okay? And the hardest part about the show Alone and surviving is finding food, because it is not abundant. It's scarce, okay? The human body did not evolve to store a ton of fat. Only over the last, probably since the Industrial Revolution, maybe since probably since the 50s, after World War II, we had this huge increase in our economy and the wealth of our country, and now, food is everywhere. There's a Burger King across the street, flame grilling since 1954. I'm looking at it. I could walk over there right now and get 3,000 calories for $15. That's the problem. The problem is people are eating too much, they're getting too fat. That's what's causing poor health. If you are an obese person and you're having trouble losing weight, it's because you've done it incorrectly. You've approached it wrong. You tried to jump on some ridiculous diet you're never going to stick to. You tried to walk 10 miles a day or run or whatever, go to the gym 7 days a week. That's why it doesn't work. Okay? I coach people all the time who are very obese. And I've helped people lose up to 150 pounds, training twice a week and not drastically changing their life. If this sounds like you, click the link in the description, book a call with me, let me coach you to long-term sustainable fat loss that will stay, okay? I also work with my weight loss clients, my obese clients, a lot of Psychological counseling and coaching and stuff like that comes into it too. We have a great support group for obese individuals trying to lose weight. This is not something that happens overnight. This is a slow lifestyle change. If you're an individual who's obese, you want to lose weight, you want to look better, you want to feel better, you want to avoid all this inflammation that the obesity is going to cause you, and a likely heart attack down the road, click the link in the description. Book a call with me and I can help you. Okay? I'm not going to drive you crazy the whole time too. All right? So that's the scoop on sugar. It's not bad for you. Anything is bad for you in excess, in high amounts, and it's mostly the excessive calories and the obesity causing all these problems. If anybody tells you that sugar is bad for you, smile, nod, walk away, and say to yourself, that guy's an idiot. All right? Hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification icon, and I'll see you next time.